Hey again, this is Anthony Contento, Connected Home Systems, and welcome back to Part 2, Why Get Home is Where We Belong. Well, Part 1 is called Staying Well. This particular part addresses those folks that are seniors and feel that they're perfectly fine. And that's a large percentage of seniors, and that is great news. We couldn't hope for better news than that. It's also for the adult child that says, my mom, she's fine. She's 78 years old. She drives, gets her groceries, picks up her dry cleaning, does her own shopping. You know, and that's just true. I mean, I hear this time and time again. My own dad, who's 85 up until several years ago, was the same way. I think the problem there is that there could be some subtle things occurring that we may not know about. So part 1 is, we know mom's fine now, but don't wait for the event. Home is Where We Belong is not a single piece of technology or a single point solution. It is, in fact, a collection of innovative technologies solving many of the problems that arise when people want to remain living in their homes as they age. This natural decline in an aging person's cognitive and physical abilities will present conditions in and around their homes that are dangerous. And I'm just going to run through a couple of examples of that. For example, so again, this is mom's fine, dad's fine, they're doing great. Yeah, sure, he's forgetful once in a while. Or yeah, his vision's not the same as it used to be. So number 1 I call stovetop. And what if mom or dad becomes forgetful or more forgetful than they've been and leave the stove on? You may not get a second chance at leaving the stove on. And with Home is Where We Belong, we can use a simple thermistor or a device that detects temperature changes above a stove or next to an oven or above a toaster or what have you. So use of this simple thermistor can tell the care group or eye care concierge that the stove may have been left on. It's a simple email, it's a simple phone call. A second way is, again, if the resident is more comfortable with monitoring their own situation, we can actually just play an announcement in the household that says, hey, if you're still cooking, that's great, but if not, perhaps you want to go check and see if you left the stove on. And that's all in the home, and catastrophes can be avoided. The second in the dangerous conditions list here is the shower. Now, I know, again, from my personal experience with my father, that it's a tough situation. He's afraid of falling in the shower. And what I would tell you is, no matter what your level of wellness, and again, this is the section that says, we know mom's fine now, but don't wait for the event. What is the problem if each and every time before you got in a shower, you let someone know that you're getting in? This way, in 20 minutes, a half hour, they can check on you to make sure you're okay, limiting the amount of time that you might be needing assistance if you did have a fall. Because if they become unbalanced or unstable due to a simple virus or the flu, these things can absolutely occur even in a healthy body. So we would encourage the resident to always check in with someone. Now, who is that someone? It could be a family member. It could be a care group. And in our case, with Home is Where We Belong, we offer up an eye care concierge. It's along the same conceptual lines as an emergency response, where you can press a button, somebody calls you back, and you say, hey, hey, eye care concierge, I'm just going to get in the shower now, and I wish for you to please check back with me in about a half hour, 20 minutes, make sure I'm good. With Home is Where We Belong, it can all be automatic, in fact, where no calls have to be made, and we can just monitor the restroom for humidity, rises in the levels of humidity, and if we see that, we're going to say bathing is most likely occurring. That's fine. Nobody needs to know anything other than, at this point, we'll now look for that humidity level to come down again, indicating that bathing has ended. And if that goes on for a prolonged period of time, we've got ourselves a pretty good idea that something might be wrong. And in which case, we can let the family know. We can try calling the apartment to mitigate what may be happening. That is part 1 of part 2, Why Get Home is Where We Belong. Join me in just a few minutes where we'll go into part 2 of Why Get Home is Where We Belong, and that's where we avoid trouble. This is Anthony Contento with Connected Home Systems. Home is Where We Belong. We will be right back.